Look, I've listened with great interest to the various parts of this debate, both inside this chamber and outside this chamber. And I suppose, really, you wonder really where there's this yearning or urge for reform in here at all. But I just want to share my thoughts. First, I want to say I am delighted and very happy and very proud to have been elected a member to Seanad Bill. It is something I never thought I could dream of. I have no academic qualifications. I was not in school from 6 to 7 to 8 years of age through no circumstances of my own. I later studied horticulture thanks to the Department of Agriculture and a grant and a subsidy that allowed me to go to Teagasc and study horticulture through hard sweat and tears, might I even add. I worked at the age of 11 in a bakery out in Dunleary to pay for my own education when my greatest ambition was to buy a bicycle at 14 years of age that I could cycle to my own school and eventually to my own college. So the Senate does allow people an opportunity to come. The day I walked in this door, every hair on my neck stood up with pride to come in here with people that were close to me, who supported me through those difficult times, to come into the very centre of what is political life of this country. So it does open doors. And I think that's something I want to acknowledge. I don't want to come in here. No one wants to come in here and talk about their personal experiences. But we all see the world from where we stand and our experiences within it. And we bring those experiences to the very heart, to the very core, to the very being of what we try to do and aspire to do for the good of other people. But also remembering for our own self and our own integrity and our own self-esteem. And I think that's important. I want to thank Senator Michael McDougall for introducing this bill. I think it's important. I think many of us will remember, if we talk outside before we're ever in this Seanad, we talk about the opportunity to be here, and one of the things we'd all say, and the amount of people would have said to me, and I'm certain many of us here, we resent the fact that the Senate is for the academics, that they're in here, or the political dynasties that can come in here as a stepping stone, as one of our senators honestly said, to get into Dáil Éireann. But that's not right. We must allow every citizen of this country, anyone who is eligible to vote, whatever the criteria is at that time, to be able to exercise a franchise and vote for the Seanad. It is not appropriate. This is not a private club. It should not be a private club. Every citizen in this country that is eligible to vote should be allowed vote. Now, the big difficulty is, how can we bring that about? I want to also say just a few points. I note that this bill has been given in government time, and that's profound, and that's an indication of the government's own support for it. I note in the programme for government, on page 149, it says, however significant reform, we need reform, and the government is committed to pursuing implementation of the Manning report. That's the government's commitment. I noted that Micheál Martin personally sponsored and pushed for a bill, a private member's bill in relation to Seanad reform, and it's very, very interesting what they were then proposing, and it'll be interesting to see are they consistent in the proposals as we go through this debate in the next few weeks. So we have cross-party support. Senator Ivana Bacik outlined some of her commitments and Labour's commitments in relation to Seanad reform. So look, there's a lot of talk about reform. Now it's about action. I also note in the Micheál Martin, leader of Fianna Fáil, where he talks about the Taoiseach's nominees, and he says, and I quote, that he requires the bill the Taoiseach to take into consideration the need to ensure the following groups or sectors in this jurisdiction and in Northern Ireland to be considered for nomination: the elderly, the young, the new Irish community, the Irish diaspora, people with disabilities, sporting organisations, the arts, the travelling community. This represents the Taoiseach's nominees, and to be fair to the Taoiseach, I think he's reflected all of that in his nominations, and I have no criticism of the Taoiseach's nominations currently as that arrangement, because that reflects the broad spectrum. Let's be fair here, and I think that does. I would, however, have some concerns about, as part of this ongoing Seanad reform, about the Taoiseach's power to nominate 11 nominees. But that is clearly provided in what I like to call the People's Book, the Constitution. I don't have any fear. I've heard a number of speakers here today talk about the Constitution and we'll operate, the Manning report, because the Manning report says we operate within the parameters without having constitutional referendum. Why not? We're Democrats. We're politicians. Let's never fear going to the people. we know what the people said. And I quote now from a little press clipping, and I note that the Senator Regina Doherty was then a deputy and is not in the House, so I'm not going to be quoting extensively what is attributed to her in the national press back in October the 15th. But Enda Kenny goes on as Speaker. He's speaking at Dublin Castle this evening. The Taoiseach Enda Kenny has said he was personally disappointed at the result, the outcome of the referendum and at the defeat of the Seanad abolition referendum, but accepted the result. And we must also accept his bona fides there. He accepted the result. He is a Democrat too. And he has lived by the commitment at that day in Dublin Castle. We have to move on. No point looking back. No point scapegoating anybody else. So now we've clearly of the view that there is broad political consensus among the political parties and those who are not in political parties that we need reform. Can I say, and finally in winding up, the elephant in this room is the bigger issue, and it is the councillors. The councillors who would have traditionally elected these 43 people, and I see Fianna Fáil have indicated clearly their position, and I'm sympathetic to it. I am elected. And I'm going to apologise. Turkeys don't vote for Christmas. Let's be honest. This is a chamber where we're discussing our business. But I want to make a stronger case. The election of county councillors, city and county councillors around this country, have a mandate, a democratic mandate. They are enriched in the lives of their own communities. They enrich the citizens of their own communities. They have a democratic mandate. And I am very uncomfortable with any erosion of that number, because they do have a mandate. They have elections. They are democratic elections. And they bring with them representations into this House. So, I mean, I think that's an important one. I'm not too sure. Also, and this is a thought, and this will come up at the committee stage, I'd like to see some consideration of 2 terms for anyone in Seanad, including myself. I'm not too sure if anyone should be sitting around these seats for any more than 2 full terms. If we're really on about Seanad reform, you know, if we can't make an impression in here in 2 terms, what are we doing in here? So I think we've got to be honest and have the broader reform. But I welcome Senator McDougall's contribution. I think it's very important, and I co-signed it because I think it's important that we have this debate. But I would only say one thing, and I have no difficulty with the Manning report, and I want to pay tribute to all who worked on that. Let's not fear a referendum if we need to push this out further. There's no rush. Let's get it right. And I think there is a case, perhaps, further on in the committee stage to tease out the issues. But there's no point in kicking this down the road. And the sooner we confront each of these issues and we explore each part of the process in relation to a bill, we know there are 5 stages to the bill. Let's not have this going on and on and on, because the people are watching it, the people are reading about it, and the people have given us clearly, or given the government, a clear instruction that they want their Senate, which is enshrined in their constitution, protected. But they also want it respected, and they want us to respect the institution of the Senate. And I finally wrap up by the point. How we conduct ourselves in here on a daily basis, that reflects the real work of the Senate. How we operate, how we attend to our business in here, how we bring our own individual expertise and life's experience to this table is very, very important. Let's never deny anyone an opportunity to seek to get elected, to be able to vote, to be able to be elected, to be able to pull up a chair to the Senate table and partake in what is a great House, and I hope it continues to be great, and it continues to do the great work that has done by many of its predecessors. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Now we have